The Mangler is one of those stories that, when I heard they made a movie out of it, I simply had to see it. Not because I thought that the story would make a good movie, or because I liked the story, but because it's one of those things where I wanted to see just how in the hell they pulled it off. You know the film Lolita, the one that came out in 1962 and was directed by Stanley Kubrick? The movie had a tagline, "How did they make a movie out of Lolita?" That was because the subject matter of the novel was so controversial, and on top of that, the writing style doesn't exactly lend itself well to film. Well, the tagline should have been used for The Mangler. How did they make a film out of The Mangler? I say this because the short story is absolutely ridiculous. Much like Graveyard Shift, the short story first appeared in Cavalier magazine, this time in 1972, and then later appeared in the collection Night Shift, which came out in 1978. The movie came out in 1995, so they were really digging into the past when they made this one. The story is about a possessed laundry machine that kills people. I'm deadly serious about this. In the story, a series of bizarre coincidences causes the Mangler machine, which is really just something that irons and folds sheets, to become possessed. Things like blood and belladonna find its way into the machine, which gains a sort of evil sentience and mangles a few poor fools. In the end, it gets exorcised by a policeman and his friend. The film adds to this by creating the boss character, who acts like a sweatshop owner in a 19th century film. The coincidences are changed to deliberate attempts at black magic, and the people who get fed into the machine are deliberate human sacrifices. I thought the film would be an absolute bottom-of-the-shit barrel terrible movie. After all, it's based on one of the most forgettable and ridiculous Stephen King stories I've ever read, and as of my writing of this review, it's got a 3.2 on IMDb. Looking closely at it, though, there seems to be some hope. The cop is played by Ted Levine, and the boss is played by Robert Englund, and the film actually seems to have gotten something of a budget. The addition of the boss character helps the plot. As in the story, the entire thing was based off of random coincidences. It's easier to swallow that there's an evil guy with leg braces and an eye patch practicing black magic. The acting is actually okay. Not good, but okay. It's a hell of a lot better than Graveyard Shift anyway. There are a few scenes that just bother me, though. For example, the first person being eaten by the Mangler. While everyone is running around and screaming, the safety bar not working, and they're unable to turn the machine off, but no one thinks to cut the power. I know a lot of the characters were panicking, but no one in the entire place thought to walk the 10 feet over to the circuit breaker and throw a switch. Another part that bugged me was when this old-timer dies. He's already had a heart attack or something, and he's being carried out on a stretcher by some paramedics. They stop so the cop can talk to him, which is pretty unrealistic. Shouldn't they be more concerned with getting this guy medical help? And when he dies, they just cover him up. They don't even try to resuscitate him or anything. Other than these nitpicks, The Mangler is surprisingly watchable, or at least I thought so after watching it so soon after Graveyard Shift. I can't stretch so far as to call it a good movie, but it is at least average. There's some potential there. For whatever reason, the film got 2 sequels, both straight to video, which kind of amuses me. It's not like The Mangler was any sort of success, and how many times could you swallow this sort of story? The film is most notable for Robert Englund's performance. The guy just knows how to do evil, and he seems to have quite a lot of fun playing a crippled old horny bastard with a penchant for black magic. The scene at the end where the stupid machine actually gets up and starts chasing the characters is actually done pretty well. And it isn't as ridiculously stupid as I just made it sound. For once, I thought the movie was better than the story. The story was silly, and was surrounded by much better material in Night Shift, but the movie at least doesn't suck. I'll give The Mangler a 5 out of a possible 10.